Again, this morning when we were up here talking, St. Elmo made a good point. He says, it's never an opportune time to plan for retirement. You're always thinking, I'm going to be earning more money, or I need to be earning more money, or I need to now pay this bill, that bill. And he made a comparison which really hit home for me is, it's never an opportune time to have children, to start a family, but it's something we do. And so we need to get that mindset around. It's something we need to do. Start planning for retirement now. So next up we have Mrs. Nicolette Jenez, who's going to speak to us to really detail to us what is the Jamaican pensions landscape today, so we can get a better appreciation for, as Anya painted, the sort of situation we are in now. And which will hopefully allow us then to say, gosh, this is something we need to take hold of. Mrs. Jenez joined the Financial Services Commission as Senior Director in April 2005. She's a seasoned professional in the financial services sector who brings with her a wealth of experience across a broad spectrum of the industry. She began her career at the Bank of Jamaica before moving on to the audit firm of Deloitte & Touche. Mrs. Jenez spent several years in the banking industry serving in senior management capacities and went on to gain valuable experience in the pensions industry while holding the position of Vice President at Pension Administration with First Life Insurance Company Limited. Her academic background includes a bachelor's degree in management studies and a master's degree in accounting. And she holds a professional registration as a chartered accountant in Jamaica and as a CPA in the USA. So please join me in welcoming Mrs. Jenez. If anyone can tell us based on all of this experience, she definitely can.
Morning, ladies and gentlemen. Ooh, Monique. Yeah. Okay, thanks. Okay, I was very pleased to have been invited to address this inaugural seminar hosted by Scotia Insurance. I extend my congratulations to the management and staff on their efforts to create this opportunity to communicate with the Jamaican population on a topic of such importance. I hope that the success of this first seminar will stimulate further seminars by Scotia Insurance. In my presentation, I will provide you with some insight on the current legal and regulatory framework, the local pensions landscape, and the vision of the Financial Services Commission, the FSC, for the pensions industry. The current legal and regulatory framework. As you may be aware, the final piece of legislation in the first phase of pension reform in Jamaica was enacted on the 1st of March 2006. At that time, the Pensions Act, along with 4 attendant regulations, empowered the FSC to commence the monitoring, registration, licensing of within the pension industry, which had never been previously comprehensively regulated. For many decades, the Taxpayer Audit and Assessment Department, the TAAD, and its predecessors had full responsibility for the approval of occupational pension plans under the Income Tax Act. However, the Income Tax Act was never equipped or intended to address the problems that plague the industry, such as delays in the payment of benefits, failure of sponsors to pay over employees' contributions, and conflicts of interest between trustees and sponsors. After broad consultation over many years, we are where we are today. In order to expedite the reform process, a decision was taken to break down pension reform into 2 phases. Phase 1 being the operational phase, and phase 2, which tackles matters which protect the adequacy of pensions, such as portability and vesting. Phase 1 of the pension reform. This is currently quite advanced and encompasses the registration and licensing of pension plans, investment managers, administrators, trustees, and covered persons. Processing of applications for the approval of superannuation funds and retirement schemes are quite advanced, and the FSC has performed creditably, if I must say so myself, over the last 4 years in processing these applications for registration. That is, those applications that were complete applications. Plans and schemes that did not fully comply with the Pensions Act are reviewed and have been allowed sufficient time to upgrade the constitutive documents in an orderly fashion. To date, we have completed the review of 95% of the net applications that are in a position to be processed. Of the total net applications, 77% have been approved. That is 205 superannuation funds, 11 retirement schemes, 1,324 trustees, 26 administrators, and 27 investment managers. 1% has been refused. 3% given time to satisfy the statutory requirements, 14% awaiting approval, and another 5% being processed. Phase 2 of the reform. As mentioned, Phase 2 of the pension reform seeks to incorporate into the pensions legislation issues relating to the adequacy of pensions, including vesting, portability, and locking in of contributions. Now, 3 years have passed since the amendments to the Pensions Act were submitted to the Chief Parliamentary Council for drafting. Stakeholders in the industry might be skeptical as to whether this phase will ever be complete. Unfortunately, the CPC has been inundated with many drafting instructions from other agencies and ministries and now faces an extremely robust legislative agenda. This has led to the delays in addressing the requested amendments. What have we done in the meantime? Having gained vast insight and knowledge of the workings of the industry over the past 5 years, the FSC has sought to use the experience gained to revisit and review the proposed amendments which were submitted to the CPC 3 years ago. We have now embarked on a review of these amendments, and this has proven to be a very beneficial exercise. The amended and shortened drafted instructions will be submitted to the CPC very soon, and we hope that with lobbying from industry associations, the legislative process will be expedited and the amendments enacted without further delay. The current regulatory framework. The FSC has commenced the supervision and monitoring phase of its mandate. Investment managers, administrators, and trustees of pension plans are required under the Act to submit to the FSC both quantitative and qualitative reports at specific intervals. This allows for the examination and assessment of activities of the plan and providers of investment and administrative services. The FSC has adopted a risk-based assessment approach to assessing licensees and registrants. What do I mean by this? This means that resources will be focused on identifying entities that are at risk of not meeting promised benefits and mitigating these risks before they crystallize. In administering the Pensions Act, the FSC will concentrate on the risk profiles of the entities which have been evaluated. For low-risk plans, there will be less need for regulatory attention. On the other hand, where actual and potential problems are identified, the FSC will focus its efforts to protect members' benefits. Currently, the FSC is performing desk-based reviews on the reports received, and appropriate assessments are being effected. The outcome of these reviews may trigger an on-site examination, which is a more comprehensive examination and which is conducted within the offices of the licensees or registrants. The local pensions landscape. Long ago, 2004, a survey was conducted in an effort to gain some knowledge on the size and diversity of the pensions industry. At that time, the results showed that there were at least 750 plans with 70,000 members. Of these plans, 26% were defined benefit plans, with 35% of the total membership, while 74% of all plans were defined contribution plans, accounting for 65% of the membership. Funds under management amounted to over $100 billion. Since then, and as of June 2009, the information on the status of the pensions industry is as follows. Assets under management total now some $215 billion, with $170 billion in defined benefit plans and some $45 million in defined contribution plans. Membership has unfortunately reduced to some 66,000. Superannuation funds accounting for 63,000 and retirement schemes 2,500. Currently, the majority of pension arrangements are superannuation funds, which are private, voluntary arrangements established